Good morning and welcome to Gunnison, where I'm at the Western State Invitational this weekend, and I had the decadent pleasure of being able to race the marathon yesterday, so it was wicked fun. I'm going to jump into our punctibyte for the first week of February, and we've got a lot of scheduling and logistics to talk about. However, I want to begin with an article that I tweeted out the other day. This article links the epsilon toxin from Clostridium perfringens to multiple sclerosis. And this is a very poignant article for us this week because for most of you, we are going into the endospore lecture. And remember that Clostridium is amongst one of the genera that forms an endospore. And we tend to associate Clostridium perfringens with gas gangrene. However, it is a very common causative agent of food poisoning. So this link between this very common food pathogen and the development of the disease multiple sclerosis is a very big deal. So take time if you want to hop on and take a read through that article that I tweeted out a few days ago. Without further ado, let's jump on into scheduling and talk about all of the crazy hecticnesses that are happening this coming week. This is going to be the last week for a while that we're going to be markedly affected by my ski season schedule, because I will be leaving very early on Thursday morning for the New Mexico Invitational. So I will be gone on Thursday and Friday. I don't think this will have a huge impact on Open Lab. Fortunately, this week it should not be as busy. However, it will have a big impact on Thursday because we're covering dilutions on that day. So I'm going to trust in you guys to help me to make sure that somebody who understands how to cover dilutions is present in your lab. So let me talk about that. Callie is going to be there for sections 10 and 11. So she's very, very good at dilutions and at presenting them on the board and giving both methods. So she can take care of sections 10 and 11, that part. I would like for the TAs to give the other part of the lecture where you're talking about defined, undefined, liquid versus solid, media, and selective versus differential. But if you can hand it over to Callie for the dilutions, I think that would be wonderful. In medical microbiology section 13, so Caleb and Mitchell, that's you. If you guys would like to talk to Mara is the person who is taking over your section for supervision. She may be very willing to take the dilution portion of that. And in fact, I'll suggest that when I send out this punctibyte. In Gen 12, I think Trevor is very, very competent with this. So Trevor, I'll ask you to think about doing this. If not, also Joe will be there present to supervise for your section. So that's some of the logistics that are happening this week, but that's not the only logistics. We also are trying to somehow pack in an exam this week. So we'll have an exam on the 4th that is throughout the entire day. And thank you so much to those of you who have offered to help grade. I look forward to seeing you on the evening of Tuesday the 4th. If anybody else just gets a bee in their bonnet and wants to come out and help do a little bit of grading, we're always welcome to you, and of course I'll always pay you. Okay, great. That is most of our scheduling for the week. Quick note that Aaron and Aaron will be the only people to go on to Lab 6 this week. So let's take some time to look at the TA guidelines, beginning with the Lab 4 TA guidelines. This is a quick review because we went over these last time, but remember that we want to have them produce their capsule smear first before we get started. That will give a lot of dry time during the lecture. The lecture is pretty significant because we don't specifically cover spores, sporulation, germination, activation in lecture. So this is something that we'll spend a little bit of time covering in lab. It's a great time for it, as I mentioned, especially with that recent Clostridium perfringens article. The capsule stain and procedure for that should be pretty quick and easy, but do make sure they don't get a very thick milk culture. It tends to give a little bit better or pleasing result when it's a thin milk culture with a lot of dry time. Also during this lab, if you guys could have your students look ahead towards Lab 5, that would be great. And one thing on this last lab, remember that this last lab of the staining, the students should be ready to identify at least their genus. So we'll want to help them with that, and we'll also want to give them the species name. So make sure that when they come up to you to try to identify their genus, that you also give them the accurate species name. That table is on your TA jump drive. So you can find it there to help you have something to verify what they have. So I would suggest printing that off. There is also a copy of it found in the lab book that's in the black notebook. Okay, I think that helps us with lab 4 and getting done with that. Lab 5, of course, the epic dilution problems. So this has got some logistical lecturing issues, and we talked about that already. But it also has some massive demo stuff going on. So it's very important that they learn aseptic technique, and it's really important to do a good job of presenting it. I know all of you have stellar sterile technique, but I know that it's also a different thing to present it than it is to know it. So make sure you know what you're going to say, how you're going to talk about the different size pipette aids, how you're going to talk about not putting the pipette through your hand, how to hold the pipette, how to have your flame ready and your bottles ready, lids loosened even before you get started. How not to juggle so that you're not carrying too many things in your hand at once. That's a common mistake that learners make. So go through this, and I'm scanning through it right now. Go through this and make sure you're all set to give a demo on the aseptic culturing technique. The other part of the lecture is pretty straightforward as far as parts of media, but it's still really fun to go through the TA guidelines and take a minute to learn about some of those types of media, and maybe to learn a little bit more than you already knew about them, so you have something extra to say in your lecture. Lastly, Erin and Aaron, you guys are going to be going on to Lab 6. So this is the epic streaking day, and so you should be ready to streak and to show them your streaking style. So you guys will give the demo for that, so make sure once again that you really are ready to present how to streak. If you want to make use of the very large scale demo that some of my TAs made last year, we've got a roll of tape tacked onto an old broomstick, and we've got a huge plate that we can put on the projector so you can show how to put those streak marks on there. It was a very creative and novel idea for how to demo that. And I welcome those, so come up with extras this semester. I love them. So another thing in Lab 6 is we need to force the students to record their numbers from the dilution problems, and if we don't have them put it on the board, sometimes many of the groups won't actually get the calculation done. So the point is not really to share data as much as it is to get them to get their data up on the board. However, it is kind of fun to bring their attention to significant digits when you have them share on the board. Most of them will retain far too many significant digits. With our instrumentation, technically we could probably only keep one significant digit. I usually allow them to keep 2, and of course with the problems that we'll be assigning, they will keep however many they are given in the problem. So do note we do have the brand new dilution problems, so those need to be assigned from the appendix. Make sure that that gets written up on the board at some point throughout the 2-hour session. I think that covers most of what you'll need to know for Lab 6. Although there is a lecture that focuses in on environmental influences. So make sure that with that lecture you read through the TA guidelines, because there's a lot of extra cool information. One of the things I did want to bring clarity to is the picture in the notes is a picture that I took up on Snowy Range when we were skiing in a snowfield there. And it's the one you can see me skiing, and it was in June, so it was in late June. And so the watermelon snow, or psychrophilic algal growth, is really excessive. Likely that this is chlamydomonas, which is a type of green algae, and in this moment it's producing a lot of accessory pigments, so it has that really red pigmentation. Really a cool demo of psychrophilic microorganisms. I'll leave it at that, and please feel free to reply to all if there are any nuances or logistics that all of us need to be aware of. If there was anything at Open Lab that I need to be aware of, make sure again to reply to all and just let everyone know so that we are all on the same page. Our most important tool this semester with so many sections and so many TAs is communication. So help me to keep the standard high on that note. And I hope you all had a fantastic weekend.